A love virgin, a lovesick patient, and lovers of cringe romantic gestures show up at Hummingbird Nest Ranch to win the affections of Jen Tran, the first Asian American leading lady in Bachelorette history. You are watching Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Recap, The Bachelorette Season 21, and we're dissecting and discussing Jen Tran's rose petal journey to finding ferocious love. It's shot o'clock, so let's get this party started.
Shot o'clock! Let's get it!
I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Tiffany Current.
Be sure to subscribe to Reader Seeks Romance Channel so that you don't miss weekly episodes of Romance Recap, only here on YouTube. Tiffany, it's great to join you for another season of Romance Recap. I've missed you.
I've missed you too. I'm happy to be back. I'm very excited. I actually like this Bachelorette. I was watching it and I was like, I like her. She seems sweet and nice and fun. And I really liked her. I thought she was very cute.
I agree. Jen Tran is super charming. She seems very genuine and down to earth.
Yes.
And there hasn't been any moment so far in the show where I said, oh God, that sounds so produced. Because, you know, we used to talk a lot about produced comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the Rachel and Gabby season, which was the last Bachelorette we covered. But she seems like everything she's saying is just so natural and authentic. And she's really a sweetheart.
She's very cute. But I was going to say what I liked about this, I want to just say this really quick. When they opened the show right away, they're like the drama of I won't accept this rose. I was like, already, guys, we're hopping right into that. They always like to do that. It's crazy.
I thought that was interesting because I don't remember that being the first clip that is shown right before the premiere starts. Is that they're teaser clips of the last episode or the last two episodes?
I think so. Yeah.
You know,
I was expecting a nice opening of like gentle music and etc. But they just threw you in there. I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, which only means to me that it's not a super dramatic season, but they're trying to make it seem deeply compelling. That's my thought. Before getting into our general impressions of the season 21 premiere, I'd like to give a little background on Jen Tran. 26-year-old Jen is of Vietnamese descent and is the first Asian American bachelorette. Jen is a physician assistant student. She's very adventurous. She's also felt very unwanted by her dad, which she mentions a lot. She appeared in season 28 of The Bachelor with Joey Graziadei and was heartbroken when she did not make the cut to continue on to Hometown. She was cut late into the season.
Yeah.
Jen is looking for a funny, kind, smart man who is open to falling in love. So that's kind of just the background on Jen before we move forward. Did you watch any of The Bachelor with Joey?
I didn't watch it, but when I was hearing her talk about him, I thought I should watch it. He sounds like an amazing guy. If he dumps you and she's like, he's the best guy I've ever dated, I was like, man, that's a good dumper. But can I just say, because you brought up daddy issues, there's always got to be something. It's either mommy issues or daddy issues. The parents can never win. Right in the beginning, we get introduced to her family and she was talking about her dad and we cut to her mom and her mom seems so sweet.
Yes.
So lovely, very kind, talking to her very gently and her brother was crying and I'm like, I love this family. Love this family.
I agree. Actually, one of my notes was Jen's mom is a sweetheart. So I'm hoping we get to, I hope they fly her to Australia so we get to spend some time with her. And it sounds like she has an interesting story. Don't know if it comes out later in the season where Jen mentioned the mother putting aside all of her dreams so that Jen could succeed in life. So yes, I'm looking forward to more from the mom. Now, general impressions. So just general impressions of what your takeaway is from the season 21 premiere.
A lot of guys that don't remember, a lot of guys that like to drink, a lot of guys that are doing shots. I kept thinking, like, is this a callback to another season? Did I miss something? Like, I think I'm out of the loop. Also impression wise, we can dive in deeper. Jesse is still incredibly hot. Every single time he came on screen, even though if it was just like 3 seconds, I'm like, why does he look so good?
I have a theory about that.
You do. What is it? What's your
Because he, like, honestly, he's got this sexy look, like he's tired and has been up partying all night. Have you noticed
Interesting.
that? Like, whenever I see him, he looks like a little rough. And what I mean by rough, in the best possible way, is like gritty.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like he had like kind of puffy eyes and he looked a little glassy eyed. I'm like,
Okay.
this dude's been up all night. Now I know he's married and I think he
Yeah,
has a kid or baby
I
now or
think
something.
so. Some
So
child.
maybe he's just tired from that, but he gives that like sexy look of I'm just a rugged guy not getting enough sleep. I don't
I've
know.
been out like shoveling the snow and
Right.
paving driveways. I'm so worn out, but I am here and I am
Yes.
just buff and broad shoulders. He's very
Yeah.
attractive. But what were
Yeah.
your general first impressions?
Okay. This is going to be a controversial statement
Okay.
right out the gate, but based on the teaser clips and from a brief interview I saw of Jen on one of the morning shows, it was like an
Okay.
ABC morning show, of course. Um, I don't think Jen either accepts an engagement. I don't think she becomes engaged. I think she walks away single at the end.
I do slightly agree purely because you hear her keep saying, I keep making mistakes with men. I don't want to make a
Yes.
mistake
Yes.
again. So I feel like she might choose herself at the end or at least choose not to get engaged. So I am curious to see what happens there.
Yeah, me too. And then I think the teaser, Jesse said, this has never been done before in Bachelor
Yeah,
history. It's like they love saying that
which is
about everything.
BS. Everything has been done.
Yeah.
Everything has been done, Jesse. I love you, but give me a break. It's
Yeah.
it's been done.
Let's dive into the limo arriving at Hummingbird Nest Ranch.
And my first comment, even though we already said it, right when they go to the ranch, you see Jesse in the suit. My first comment is Jesse looks amazing in that suit. Wanted to say it again. That was literally my my first
He
comment
does. He really
at the
does.
ranch. So
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah,
Love
he
him.
is. And for what I think I've said this before, what a job this guy has. He works what? 2 minutes at a time. I mean, I
I
know he's
know.
on set
That's
probably
it.
the whole day, but he only has to be he's just like, okay, just hi, how you doing? You look great. Okay, well, the limos are arriving. And he just leaves. It's like you don't see him until later on with the puppies when
That's
he
it.
gets the
That's
puppies
it.
off.
That's it.
Um, so yes, he is hot. I didn't even write it down because I said Tiffany is going to get so sick of me always talking about Jesse. So
You do
I'm
say it a
glad
lot.
you mentioned him first.
I said it. But let's get to the limos. We have the very first person that comes out is Marcus, which
Yes.
is he is the very first person. He's an army ranger. He was hit by a grenade, I think, and then had
Yeah.
to leave the army. I was watching him and I was like, this is like a Captain America origin story. Like he was cute, he was
Hmm.
buff, he was in the military, and he was very sweet too. I liked him. He was very nice.
Very sweet, very cute. He seems to be a man of substance.
Yes.
And I right away I put a big check and I said he's a strong contender.
Yep,
He's
same.
Yeah. So I think, what do you think how far you think he's going to make it?
I think he's going to make it far, but I don't know if he is her type. When she
Hmm.
was talking about the type of guy she was excited about, it was the guys that are like, girl, you shouldn't be being with these men. These guys are going to break your
Yeah.
heart. But he seems like a really great choice, maybe for The Bachelor the next season if she doesn't pick him. He's
Good
a
point.
solid person, though. He's a solid guy.
Good point. There's a conversation that Jen has with Marcus later on, and she's talking about her independent streak, or I should
Mm.
say her independent personality, and and he said he's very independent. And I wonder how that works. Because he's independent, but he also might be very protective, having been in the armed forces. And she might be the type like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Because so I don't know if she's going to want someone who's not an alpha. He seems like an alpha.
Ah,
And
he
I
does
think
seem like
she
an
might want
alpha.
more like a beta.
That's possible. I could see that. She can definitely hold her own with some of the guys, so she might be
Yeah.
looking for like a beta.
Right.
I
Yeah.
liked him though. The next
Me
person
too.
was it Marvin? I think
Marvin,
Marvin.
the luxury event planner from Santa Monica.
That's right. Yeah, I remember like, okay, I was like, what does he do? All I have for him is that he speaks French. And I was
That's
like,
all I
is he
have.
French? Was he French? I was like, I'm not
No.
quite sure if he's French because the French was just okay.
I was just going to say the same thing. That French sounded practiced, like he had
Yeah.
just learned it. And I was following along. And I took French for 5 years. I know you've been exposed to the
Oh,
French
yeah, that's
language living
true.
in Europe.
That's true.
And I was like, that's it. I think he just learned it. Someone
He
must
was
have said
like,
French is
Duolingo, let me just quickly do French really
yes,
fast. And that was it. Yeah, that was it.
absolutely. And then next we get to the first of two Sams. This is Sam N.
Goodness.
N is
Yes.
in, I don't know what his last name, but it's N is in no.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think he's a big no with this one. I don't think he's gonna last long.
He's a no. I think that's a producer pick, in my opinion. He comes out, he's like, just want you to know that I'm a virgin. And she's like, huh?
She
And
took
he's
it
like,
really well. She
he
took
took
it
it
really
well.
well.
She's like, I'm not judging. He's like, no, no, I'm a love virgin. And did it. And I was like, this guy already. I was like, nope, not interested in that. He's
Um,
too much work. He's too much work for me.
he seems high maintenance. He seems kind of self-absorbed, I guess, because they showed the
Yes.
picture, the video of him curling his eyelashes. And I'm like, your time could be spent doing other things, like maybe not coming up with like cringy lines like I'm a gentleman,
Yes.
get it, get
Yeah.
it. I was like, oh, for God's sakes. And I love that the producer is like, yeah, I get it. Like,
Yeah. They're just like, we got it. We got it, Sam. Can you move it along and talk more about being a virgin? He's a no for me because he's like, I've never had a girlfriend. I'm waiting for a wife. I was like, no, no, kid. You got to have practice first. That's not,
yeah,
I'm not
no,
looking for that. She's not looking for that.
no, no.
I don't
She's,
think
yeah,
so.
absolutely not.
He's not going to be around long. If he is
Exactly.
around, it's because the producers want him there for that entertainment value.
Yep.
That's my personal opinion on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. He is attractive. He did come out wearing a gold chain. And whenever someone wears a gold chain that thick, I start to just question things.
Wow,
I don't know.
okay.
Just
Wow, look at you
so,
against gold chains.
yeah, I'm not, yeah. I grew up in the 80s in the Bronx in an Italian American community, and all day, every day, it was guys with thick chains, women with thick chains, everyone
Yeah.
with thick chains. And it just, I don't know. It's a choice.
It's you were scarred for life from
I
chains.
think
Okay,
so. I think
that's
so.
fine. It's
Uh,
your choice. There you go.
so we have Grant, a day trader from Houston, originally from New Jersey. So I'm like, okay, I like him. I don't know that much better because I'm not a big fan of Texas, not a big fan of Jersey, but I feel like he's got like an East Coast sensibility.
I will say this about Grant. When Grant came out, he was rapping and singing, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know. But then he
Yeah.
was actually very interesting because he said he went and he played basketball, I think overseas
Yeah,
professionally. That
he
was actually
did.
really interesting.
Yeah.
But then he came back and now he's in finance. So he actually kind of seems like an interesting guy with a nice background. I don't know.
Yes. And later on, Jen says that Grant's the type of guy, hot, hot, hot. So he is a very attractive man. As far as singing, what have we noticed in Golden Bachelor and Bachelorette? If you come out singing, you will not win the game, so to
Yeah,
speak.
that's true.
Okay.
I
So
think it's
once they
true.
come out singing, I'm like, that's it. Sorry, Grant.
No, no.
Yeah.
It's hard to take a person seriously when they come out doing that. And it was
Yeah.
just okay. The rapping I was fine with, but when he started singing, I was like, no, dude, no. The rapping was fine, but you can't carry a tune. But she thought he was super hot. She's like really into his looks though.
Very into, and I really enjoyed her interactions with each bachelor because you really start to pick up who her type is. So
Yeah.
I think we're going to be able to figure out how this show is going to go.
Oh,
I, I
I
I'm pretty
agree with you.
confident. I'm pretty confident.
I am pretty sure we know the main people she'll take to the end because she does have a type. And all the
Yes.
good guys, it's like, you're missing out, dude. You're missing out,
Mhm.
but there is a type. So
Yeah.
moving on from Grant, we have another Sam that came out, Sam M.
Yes.
I think you actually wrote me a quote from him, like to describe him. I'm like, what? I'll let you talk about Sam.
Okay, Sam. Wait, I wrote you something about Sam.
You wrote me shot o'clock. You sent me like
Oh,
shot
shot o'clock.
o'clock.
Well, who would have known that shot o'clock would be mentioned not by just one
I know.
bachelor, but two. So, yes,
Yes.
Sam is one of two gentlemen who mentioned shot o'clock. And he was, first of all, okay. So he begins by telling Jen, picture it. Like he goes into Sophia Petrillo Golden Girls.
Yes.
Picture it. 50 years from now, something about them being together And it
Yes.
leads into a shot o'clock joke. I didn't get the whole thing. I didn't get what he was talking
First
about.
of all, 50 years, he's like, imagine me making breakfast. I was like, this is sweet. He's making
Right.
her eggs.
Yeah.
And then he says it. I'm like, you're
Shot
doing
o'clock.
shots at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, what?
He made
No,
it sound like what he said was just like, oh yeah, like drop the mic moments. It's like, what are you doing? A little
I
background
know.
on Sam. He's been single for 1 year, was
Yes.
engaged to be married, and broke it off because the woman cheated. Red flags. He should not be getting into another relationship. He's not serious, in my opinion. I think he's just here for kicks. Okay.
I will say what's of note too is I believe the girl was someone he dated from middle school. I
Yeah.
think he said he dated her from
Yeah.
middle school. She cheated. I don't know. I In that moment I liked him. Later on, I think my opinion changed of him, but I liked
Yeah.
him. I did not get shot o'clock. I think it's over a head. I think we're missing some sort of detail. If somebody knows, please tell us like what is shot o'clock? Where did this come from? Should I
Yeah.
know what it means?
Oh,
Because I'm
you
like
know
people
what?
are using it like a thing. It must be a thing.
It must be a callback from the Bachelor season she was in. Do you think?
It must be. I don't know. We'll have to Google it.
It might, yeah, maybe.
It
Now
has to
I
be.
feel like a bad host because I should probably know where that came from, but alas, I am
Shot o'clock.
stymied. Now Jen does mention that she likes Sam's Southern charm.
Yes.
He is very confident. I think he is overly confident because on the one and one, he seemed to think his shot o'clock joke was going to really put him in the running and really stand out to her. So again, we're missing
I
something.
did though. But I did too. I was like, yeah, I was like, yes, of course. Who else is gonna say shot o'clock?
Yeah.
5 seconds later,
Oh my
Brian or
God.
whoever it was, I was like, what?
We will get to Brian because there's a lot about
He's
Brian.
very suspicious. Before we get to Brian, what
Yeah.
about Brian? Do you remember that TV show? What about Brian?
Huh?
Wait,
But
that was a
anyway,
TV show. What about Brian?
I always made this joke. It was with I can't even remember the guy's name. Jessica Biel was on a TV show about church. She was one of seven
Oh,
kids.
Seventh Heaven.
Yes, and her brother on there, the oldest brother, he
Yeah.
was in this show. What about Brian?
Get out. Wow,
Yeah,
that was
you
a
gotta look.
deep cut. You really went for a deep
I
cut when
I
you
know.
mentioned what about Brian?
You just said Brian. It's just a joke I did. Anyway, next up we have Thomas Nguyen. He is another Asian American. Is he from? I think his background was from Vietnam. I want to
Yes, he
say. Am I
also
making that
shares
up?
the same background, Vietnamese. He actually has dual citizenship, Vietnam and the US.
I liked him. I thought he was sweet, and he said like a silly joke, like if you choose me, you'll be win-win because his last name is Win or something
Yeah,
ridiculous. But what's interesting is he also had an athletic background. I'm like, did
he
she look?
did.
She must like athletes. She must have requested athletes because he was
Yeah.
like a legit, serious, hardcore swimmer, with a chance of going to the Olympics. I'm like, she must really be an athlete. 'Cause that must be her
Yes.
type.
I know that she describes herself as adventurous and sporty. So I don't know if that was displayed prominently in
Ah,
the Bachelor season she was in, but they definitely picked people who were athletic. And, I wasn't sure about Thomas until I saw him swimming. And then I was like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Because he seemed so shy and insecure at first. And then when I saw him
okay.
swimming, he looked so confident and in his element. I was like, okay, I could see him being sexier than perhaps one would think.
Was it the Speedo, Liz? You're like, wait a second.
It's not. I'm not a Speedo person. It was just the
Really?
confidence. Yeah, it was just the confidence he had. And he had like a nice swimmer's physique.
I know,
But
very toned.
but he just
Yeah.
seemed like, oh, he's multifaceted because they mentioned in the little caption, he's a
Yeah.
retirement analyst. So he's a retirement analyst.
Yes.
He comes out looking so shy and demure, and I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know if this guy's got any type of like life to him.
When I heard retirement analyst, I was like, womp womp. Nope. But when they went to the swimming thing, I was like, okay, wait a
Oh, oh
second.
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
That was a touch of sex appeal there, yeah.
yeah.
We had a quick glance of Brendan, who I think was eating a hot pepper randomly out of the blue. He didn't bring her a pepper. He's like, I'm gonna
He
just eat the
didn't.
pepper myself and just choke on it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
something went wrong with that whole setup that he had. It almost looked like an afterthought that he shoved it in again and had a second
Yeah.
bite. honestly, he's from Vancouver, Canada. I don't think he understands how this show goes because the whole thing, he was choking because obviously he can't handle the heat
He
as he
cannot.
said he could. So it was like a misguided type of double entendre that he's like, "Oh, I'm biting this because I could take the heat," and she's like, "Uh-huh,
She's
okay."
like, you clearly haven't been out of Canada because you cannot. I will say from him on, there were a montage of random people with like skis and other things. I think we did get to the puppy guy,
Oh, the puppy guy.
Tomas.
Before Tomas, there was Austin, Brian, and Spencer. Do you want to talk about Brian? We could talk about Brian.
What about Brian? Sorry.
That was a great callback. And that's why I love you and I love doing the show with you.
Go ahead.
Brian, 33, which is a little bit, I'm like, okay, he's a little bit older. So I was expecting someone a bit mature.
Yeah.
Aesthetic consultant from Florida. And I said, okay, something to do with, facelifts and
Yeah.
cosmetic
Yep.
surgery. And he offers syringes, which I'm guessing are usually used for Botox. I don't know, filled with alcohol shots.
That's probably
That's
what it
what I
was
think
for.
it
You're
was for
right.
like Botox.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he comes with the shots. He crosses arms with Jen, and they both shoot the syringes of alcohol into each other's mouths. And
Yes.
then when Brian does his one-on-one, he starts yelling about it's shot o'clock.
Shot o'clock. Let's get it.
Once again, a callback to poor Sam, who thought he was like very unique, but it's like,
Yeah.
no, apparently shot o'clock is a thing, and Brian is still in your thing. And he brought it in a syringe.
Honestly, the syringes
It's
look so
weird.
large. It almost looked like it would have horse tranquilizer or something in it. It was so large.
My thing is also like, you don't know what's in there. You're gonna just take this random shot. Yes, the producers screened these guys, but they didn't necessarily screen the substance that was in that shot. I don't know.
I just think I would steer clear. He seems too slick.
Yeah.
Like I don't totally like he's gonna feed you a line. He feels like
Yeah,
he's
he's gonna
gonna
feed
feed
you
you a
line.
line and just all about getting drunk and good times and partying.
Yeah.
That's how he comes off to me.
No substance, just fun. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Right. Which is concerning for someone who's in his early 30s because you're looking for someone who's a little bit more grounded. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, that's fair. Who came after Brian? I don't remember the order.
Austin. And the only reason I'm even
Ah,
mentioning Austin is because he comes in later on that we'll talk about what he does during the Truth or Dare
yeah.
segment at the cocktail party. Austin, 28 years old, sales exec from San Diego. We have a lot of California
Oh,
representing in this episode.
that makes sense.
And his pickup line is something to the effect of call 911 because you're so fire. Well, you're on. Yeah
Hence the
and
yeah.
blasts a fire extinguisher, which I'm like, okay.
I did appreciate the fact that he was far enough away because when I saw it, I'm like, if this gets on her dress,
Yeah,
forget about it. But he
let's
gave the
not.
proper distance and he still did it. But whatever it is, it's something different. And then was it Tomas?
Yes, that is correct. So now Tomas,
Okay.
okay, and he's a physiotherapist from Toronto, Canada, the second
Another
single man
Canadian.
from Canada.
Okay.
And okay, not for nothing, didn't he look like a magician? He looked like a
Yeah.
performer. To me, he
Yeah.
looked like a performer.
I agree with you because when he brought out the puppies, I thought he was going to do a trick. I thought he's going to be like,
Yeah,
you have one
yeah,
puppy, you have
yeah.
two puppies, you have no puppies. And I'd be like, whoa. But he didn't do a trick. He just handed
That's
her
right.
the puppies. And I was like, I don't really remember your name or anything about you, but I love these puppies.
But you know what?
Love
He had the smartest gimmick. I mean, gimmicks are generally garbage, but this gimmick worked. He brought in these adorable chocolate Labrador puppies
Yeah, very
and
cute.
she melted. Jen
Yeah.
absolutely melted. Jesse got a little giddy because he had to come take away the puppies. She asked if she could keep them. And I was wondering
Oh,
what
that's
happens
interesting.
to these puppies? Like, did he just rent them for a day from a,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Well,
You don't actually want to know what happened to the puppies.
wait,
No,
what?
I don't know. Could you imagine? They just throw them out. They just throw them out back. Like, we're done. Set them loose in the
I hope
wild.
that someone
A
adopts them.
coyote
Okay.
can get them. It was a very, I don't know what happened to the puppies. There was no mention of them again. At some point after Tomas, Jonathan comes in.
Yes.
Jonathan is on a stretcher, completely bandaged up. You can't see his face. You're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's a very weird situation. And he's wearing just an actual hospital gown.
Yep.
And apparently Nothing underneath.
No
Totally naked.
underwear. No underwear, which I
No
would
underwear.
normally find sexy, but I did not in this situation. Yes, he was not wearing any underwear. He said to her he wants uh Jen to like him for him and
Yep.
not for his looks. And of course, everyone, because you hear some of the bachelors talking, they're like, "Oh, he must be like ugly." I thought he would have like a scar and have a really touching story. It was very
It's
mysterious,
so
you
funny.
know.
You want it like, I don't know, like the Elephant Man type situation. And it's like,
I
it's
was
not that kind of show.
I wasn't sure
It's
if they
not.
were really going to, um, be bold in this season and pick someone with a
Yeah.
physical deformity. I didn't know. Now the reveal comes later, but he does not reveal his face to
That's so
her, but he
funny.
does flash his backside to her, and Jen laughs. But I question, was that too forward to flash your ass?
Um, for this show, no. Because
Okay.
it went in line with he was giving it his all. He committed to character. He's like, I'm actually in a gown. I'm not wearing underwear
Yeah.
underneath. I would have put some on later. Just saying. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
walk around without underwear on. But why not? It
All
was just
right.
a cheek, just a tiny
All
cheek,
right. Well, I
I think
kind of wanted to
that's
see it,
acceptable.
to be honest.
Well, I mean, they showed it, but they kind of,
Yeah, they had to bleep it out. I mean,
yeah, they
put
had to bleep
big
it out.
rose over it. And he had a tag that said he was lovesick. So that was the theme of Jonathan's whole situation was he's
That was his
lovesick.
thing. I thought that
Yes.
was cute. One of my favorites that came out was Aaron, who wants to be a
Ah,
pilot, and his
yes.
brother has been on the show in the past, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess found a match. And he just seemed very sweet and genuine, and I
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Aaron. I thought he was sweet.
Aaron is sweet. He's an aerospace engineer from Oklahoma, and I don't know what that means. I think he said he flies planes or makes planes or something.
No,
He drove in on a motorcycle. I would have been more impressed if he had flown in on a like an
you
airplane.
wanted him to like land 2 feet away from her. No,
Yes,
Liz,
I
that's
think that
not
would have
how it
been better.
works.
But he's playing up, he's adventurous. He is
Yes.
divorced, which I don't know if that story is going to come out. I don't know if how long ago the divorce is. If it was a long time ago, then perhaps he's ready to move on.
He got married when he was 21, so I'm not sure if because he
Oh,
got married really young, that was the thing
okay.
there.
Well, he's 29 now, according
Yeah.
to what it said on the show. So,
Yep.
okay, so it's been a while. So, okay, he might be ready to move on. He mentions that his brother is Noah. Noah was on The Bachelorette previously and on Bachelor in Paradise, and is
Mm.
currently engaged to another um, alum of Bachelor, Abigail. So she was on Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise, and they met on Bachelor in
That's how
Paradise,
they
and they're
met.
married.
Yeah.
So Aaron goes through the whole thing as, oh, it worked for Noah, and I'm hoping it's going to work for me. But if you remember what happened in Golden Bachelor, the mother of someone on one of the Bachelor shows,
Ah,
she did not make it through. I think this is gimmick, having Aaron on. I
I
don't,
think it's gimmick. He's an alum, but he does seem genuine. I mean, out of
he
some of these
does.
guys, he seems like
Yeah,
a real person and believes in the process. So I
yeah,
liked him.
yeah,
One person I was indifferent to was Jeremy, who arrives in a Corvette,
yeah,
which apparently I think he said that he brought it with him.
yes.
Was
He
it from
shipped
Jersey
it.
or from New York?
He
I
shipped it
was
from
like,
New
what?
York.
What a waste of money. Like, what, you couldn't just rent a Corvette like in LA? I was so confused. Like, just rent
Yeah.
one.
That was absurd. I'm really starting to wonder if it was rented for him and he just said it was shipped. If
Uh,
maybe this is just a lie the producers said to play up, because that made no sense.
zero
Jeremy,
sense.
he's a total toolbox. This guy is a toolbox. And of course, he had to be the one person from oh no, not the one person, someone's from Albany. The one
Yeah.
person from New York City has to be Jeremy, who is flashy. And his pickup
Yes.
line is all about, men who drive sports cars are said to be overcompensating, but, not me because, I have a really big, like he's just drawing it out. And she's like,
It was really strange. I was like,
yeah.
what?
And
Like,
then,
so is
yeah,
that the joke, the Corvette? And then you're telling her, you're not even showing her the proof. I
right.
can tell a lot of things about myself. It doesn't mean anything is
It
real.
doesn't mean it's true, right? It's like, oh,
I,
because you said that now, and he said the word penis, which was
yeah.
censored from ABC, which I find funny because I assumed he had said the C
Dick.
word or dick,
Yeah.
And when he walked away, she's like, "Oh, I can't believe he said the P word." I'm like, "The P word got censored? Come on,
I know.
ABC.
It's just the
Come
P
on."
word. Come on. That's ridiculous. That's a basic like fourth grade
Yeah.
anatomy. Was it Devin that came after that?
Before we get to Devin, I just want to give a brief shout out to Brett, a health and safety manager, 28 years old from Pennsylvania. He is a big and tall gentleman.
Oh,
And
yes.
he was cast in an effort to broaden the scope of body inclusivity on the show. And it's disappointing that we will not see him in episode 2.
It is, but he did the splits at some point, so he got to have his
He
screen
did do the
time
split.
briefly.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
was that, you know?
He seemed, to be honest, he seemed very sweet. He just didn't seem like he was totally in it. Like he didn't seem
Yeah.
like he really was, he wasn't
He
overly enthusiastic,
he
I
didn't even know
guess.
he was on the show. I think they
Yeah.
just found him walking down the street, like, let's get him. And they
Yes.
just and he's just like, all right, I'm on a show now. I guess I can do the splits. After that, we have Devin,
Yeah.
cute, like vibrant personality from Houston, Texas. I think he's like the son of a single mom.
Yep.
I liked him. He had good energy. I liked his energy.
Yes, so when Devin first came out, I said, "Oh, he seems kind of goofy, like he's not going to take anything seriously."
Yeah.
But then they went in depth and did behind the scenes with him and his family, and it did seem he comes from a single parent home raised by his mother, and as he spoke, it's okay. There's more to him than
Yeah.
just being like this, kind of silly
Fun
guy.
guy.
What I liked is Jen said he had like a Pete Davidson vibe. And when she said that, I was like, I kind of see that. And I want to see how far this goes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think it's going to go far.
Yeah.
Just because,
He's not the general type that I think she goes
right,
for.
right, exactly.
Can we talk quickly about Hakeem and his like balloons? When
We
he
can.
came in, I was like, this is like, I don't know if it's like a Up movie promotion.
Yes,
It was so
yes,
random. I'm like, why all of these balloons?
yes.
I I really liked Hakeem. I thought he was funny because who knows what he said to her, but when he went
Yeah.
to leave, and he got stuck in the trees and all those balloons started popping. I felt like I was watching like Charlie Brown or something or other, and like his little balloon is bursting. It was cute. It
I
was
think that was an appropriate metaphor for how things are going to go for him on the show. I absolutely thought when I saw him walking out strapped to
yeah,
balloons, I said, "Oh, it's an homage to the movie Up,"
yeah,
because Up, opens with the old man having lost his
yeah.
wife, and it's very touching. So when he said that his reason for the balloon thing was because he's been floating on cloud nine since learning she was going to be the bachelorette, I was like, "Oh, that's so disappointing. That's not, that's, I
I
don't
heard
know."
that too, and I was like, were they not allowed to mention Up in the same sentence as The
They
Bachelorette?
should.
Because
It's a
there's
Disney
no,
property.
it looked way too much like Up
Yeah.
to me for them not to mention it. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird.
There's only one that I want to mention quickly
Yeah.
because he does get to stay and he does get time at the cocktail party with Jen, and it's Spencer. He's a 30-year-old pet portrait entrepreneur from Dallas, Texas. And he explains to Jen in their one-on-one what he does. And it's basically they take pet portraits and turn it into art, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's
Um,
cute.
and for some reason, the thing that he did with her, he offered her a pocket square. He had a bunch of pocket squares and said, "I believe couples should always match." And he offered her a pocket square.
Oh,
And he missed an opportunity to do something pet-like because
that's
he's a
true.
pet guy. So I was like, I don't know where the pocket squares comes out. Spencer is sweet. He's not going to last.
He's not gonna last. He should have done like a portrait of her as like a puppy.
That's memorable.
She would have loved it. She would
Yeah.
have loved it. She would have like, kept that along with the puppies that Tomas gave her. Let's talk about this random night of like the group kind of date weirdness. It started out with Truth or Dare with this giant dice. First thing they got was streaking. Austin, I think, had a streak. And
Mhm.
he went down and he was wearing tiger underwear, very much like the Tiger King for some reason, and had a streak around the house. I was like,
Yeah.
what is going on this show?
Yeah. That was a tiger. I thought it was a lion. You mean it was a
Was
tiger?
it a lot? I don't know what it was. It was an animal.
No, I don't know. I really don't know the difference. He had a nice physique. You were able to see a
Yeah.
bit of his package. Um,
Package.
his package was was there. It was visible. I think Austin is really cute, but I would love to give him a haircut because he's got some kind of
The
mullet.
mullet. Yeah.
Did you think it was odd at the end of him streaking down the hall? He like, I don't know, high fives Jesse, and Jesse looked mentally checked out. It's like I don't know if he was just annoyed by the whole stunt or if
I
he just
think
looked
I think
mentally checked
Jesse's
out.
probably like, move it along, guys. I'm supposed to only be here for 5 minutes. You brought me in for the puppies. I don't need to see the naked guy right now. I have other things to do.
Yeah.
Um, at some point during this night, Jonathan, the patient, everyone's like, "Are you going to take off your mask? Are you going to take off your mask?" He finally reveals himself because at first he's talking about he wants her to get to know him first, which is very nice. And
Yeah.
then they sit down, they talk, and he unwraps himself, and he's cute. And
He
I think
is.
she still likes him, and they had that connection. And I think
Yeah.
for him, that actually worked.
Yeah. I think it would have been more effective if he really wanted her to
If he
fall in
was
love with him.
covered in scars, you and your
No, no,
scars.
no. I was going to say if he just kept himself bandaged for the first three episodes.
Oh my God, no. No, 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 no. This isn't Phantom of the Opera. That's impossible. I will
Well,
say what cracked me up about this that I wrote
yeah.
down, because everyone was like, what does he look like? What does he look like? And then when he came out, Hakeem was so excited. I wrote it down. He's like, oh my God, I can see your face.
Yeah. Hakeem, first of all, is hilarious. He has the most expressive looks.
What I loved is he was so excited. I think he was more excited than Jen seeing Jonathan reveal his face. And I was like, this is the love match. Like they're the
Um,
love match I'm shipping.
okay,
It was very exciting there.
fine.
He's in love with him. He's in love with
I
him.
think
I
he
will
is.
say, at one point, which is of note, Jeremy, the douchebag with the Corvette, takes her out to his car and she's
Yes.
like, oh, can I drive it? He's like, no, no, the keys aren't here. The keys aren't here. And they're just chatting. And what was so bizarre to me and off-putting is that Brian had somehow gotten his keys,
Yeah.
approaches the car, and then starts something like, get out, man. And the guy's like, give me back my keys. No, give me back my keys. I'm like, what is it made me very
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. My
Yeah.
immediate thought was, did the producers plan this? Did they take the keys and give it to Brian? Because I'm like, why would Jeremy just have it? I guess it's possible he
Yes.
left his keys in the car. It did seem as if Brian on his one-on-one was planning to do something sneaky, so I guess he snuck off. It was very off-putting. And you
Yes.
know what? Brian just wanted to take her away from Jeremy. He had nothing to offer in that moment. It's not like he had some
Nothing.
smooth lines or want to talk to her. He just wanted to gloat in the fact that he got one over on Jeremy. It
That
was
he
just a
bullied.
it was a punk move. It was a punk move and it was
It
just
was a punk move. He seemed drunk. And then when he got in the car with her, I felt very uncomfortable. I'm like, producers, you got to get this girl out of this car. I don't know what this guy's going to do. He seemed on edge to me. I didn't like it. I
he's
did
kind
not like
yeah,
it.
he's a little bit like I know I've said slick. I feel like he's like a little bit like slimy, like he's
Yeah.
untrustworthy. Like, I mean, obviously he's sneaky. We've just learned that he'll do whatever he can to
Yeah.
win or win in his whatever he considers to be winning. And what was funny though is that Jeremy was whining to, I think it was Thomas, and he's like, I didn't want to, be a kid about it. I just, got up and left, but he was like whining about it. I was like, oh my God.
He took my car keys. It's
Yeah.
like, guys, you shouldn't have had your car here anyway, if that is your
Yeah.
car, and like let him make an idiot out of himself and just move on.
Yeah.
At some point, Jen goes and plays basketball with Grant. His
Mm.
whole thing is he's trying to get a kiss from her. He's like, I want a kiss. I want that first kiss of the night. And so he makes it a competition and he says, whoever wins, if I win, I get the first kiss. Little does he know, and that we know, she
Yeah.
is a fantastic basketball player.
Yeah.
She was good. She was very good.
She was really good. Who won? Like nobody got a kiss at the end. Who won? Like they never really even told us who
They
won.
never they never revealed it. She was holding her own, so maybe he's like, I'm gonna let this, I'm
Yeah.
gonna let it slide. But
Yeah.
they seem to have a pretty good rapport. And she even said at one point, I kind of want to kiss him. He never did because I believe they were interrupted, but she did want to kiss him though.
Which is why I thought that he might have been a shoe-in for the first impression rose, but
He was not. That went to Sam M. So good for him. She takes him aside they proceed to just make out for like 30 minutes or something. They're just like rolling around on the couch.
Yeah.
At one point, he stops and he says something to her to just make sure she's okay. And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. Keep kissing me. Keep kissing me.
Okay.
I
What
was
did
like,
she say? Do you know? Because I didn't
I
know
don't
what
know.
he said.
I
Okay.
thought he stopped to just check in on her. And she's just like, yeah, let's keep making out. Like she was like, I'm not trying to
Oh,
talk. I just want my tongue on
okay.
your tongue. It was like an intense makeout session.
Well, if he was genuinely checking in with her and getting consent, then
It was
maybe I have
sweet.
to think differently about Sam M., the construction worker from South Carolina.
I liked him in that moment when he checked in. I liked him. He seems nice. I don't know based on the upcoming promos if that's the case. I will say, as they're
Yeah.
making
Mhm.
out, that's when Jesse's like, "Come on, guys, it's time to line up." I'm thinking, are they still making out while these other
Yes.
guys
Yes, they
are
were.
lining up for the rose ceremony? So I will say the rose ceremony starts, and this is the most intense rose ceremony that I feel like I've seen. All the guys were so like, "I have to get a rose. I have to get a rose." It felt very intense and
Yeah.
uncomfortable for me. Like, what's going on? Like, why were they so concerned?
Their their eagerness, in some cases
Yeah.
desperation, made
Mm,
me question their motives, question their reasons for being there, question whether or not they're viewing this more as just I want to win and not I want to find love. So
yeah.
it raised some alarm bells for me.
I think it's fair. It was very strange, but let's go to the list. So who actually got a rose?
18 bachelors, and their names are Dylan, Thomas, Spencer, Grant, Marcus, Tomas, John, Jeremy, Devin, Brian, Aaron, Jahan, Hakeem, Jonathan, Austin, Marvin, Sam N, and of course, Sam M won
Yep.
the first impression rose, so he was safe. Now, the gentleman who did not make it past day one, Brett, Brendan, Dakota, Kevin, Matt, Ricky, and Mose, they had to go goodbye. I thought Brett might have made it the first couple of episodes. But she's decisive. She knows what she wants. And it
Yep.
shows that she's not just doing what the producers would want. Because the producers might have wanted, hey, we have the first body inclusive guy, we should keep him on for a few episodes. So I like that she's not going to do what they want her to do. Um, you
Not
know,
yet. Not
not
yet, but
yet. Well, that's true. Not yet.
we'll
Um,
see.
so at the end, there's a big toast as per usual. And one thing that we didn't mention, I mentioned in my intro, but we didn't mention it in the actual recap, is that at the start of the cocktail party, Jen, talks to the gentleman and says that she's looking for a ferocious love,
Yes.
which could be interpreted in many different ways, but it sounds like she wants you to love hard and deeply.
And I hope you guys are here for something serious, here for a ferocious love. That's what I want.
And they learn that they're going to be spending the rest of the season or the next so many episodes in Australia.
It was very random. I'm like, okay. So they got to deal in Australia apparently. And I love that we go to the promo of the whole season, and it's all like animals. We have sheep. We have,
Yeah.
I don't know if they were like little mice or kangaroo or something on somebody's arm. A bunch of like
Yeah.
random Australian animals.
Yeah.
In this promo, it's crazy. Like, what's going on there?
It was a lot of that. And then it looks as if the guys turn tattletales on each other.
I know.
It seems like different bachelors are running to Jen with, he said this and he doesn't mean it. It looks as if Thomas gets a little whiny at some points. Now that's just based on the clips, and
It's
the way
true.
they cut it, they're going to make you look sometimes worse than it is. But it seems like there's going to be a lot of infighting between the gentlemen.
It does seem that way. And they at some point they bring in somebody from her past, like dun dun dun, what is he
Oh,
doing here? I was
right.
like, what? What is he doing here?
Who do you think it is? It can't be Joey, right? Because didn't
It
Joey
can't be
skip
Joey.
someone? Yeah.
I don't know who it was, but maybe it's somebody from a different like Bachelor alum or something or other. They made it so
Yeah.
mysterious. But what I found of interesting, this is gonna be a callback to something, but in the promo video, she's like, she's like, I always pick the wrong guy, and I want to make sure I
Yeah.
always pick the wrong guy. I want to make sure I'm not making that decision again. And it brought me back to whenever she gave Sam that first impression rose, she said to him too, like, I always pick the wrong guy, but something in my gut told me to pick you. And I was like, that sounds like a red flag to me if you're always picking the wrong guy. Like, this is your gut telling you this
Yes.
is probably the wrong guy. But I
Yeah.
remember that specific, and I was like, is he the wrong guy then? I don't know.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I also thought it was kind of a dig. Like, she didn't mean it to be insulting,
Yeah.
but it kind of was insulting because she's like, I always picked the wrong guy, and now I picked you for the first impression. So yes, I think right there she was like, no, he's not the right guy for you. I don't think he is at this point.
I'm gonna have to research him and his past relationships now, which I shouldn't do because it's gonna spoil it. But I do remember her saying that, and I thought, I don't know if that's a good sign then.
It's not. It's not. And just because you get the first impression rose doesn't mean you're gonna win it all.
I don't know what's going to happen. It was a very dramatic promo, and more importantly, it ends with Jen talking to her mom. So her mom must come to Australia because you see like
Yeah.
a whole in tag of her mom talking to her about like relationships, and I was like, okay, good. I want to see her there. I want to see the mom there.
Yeah, I do too. Well, that's all we got for you. Tune into Romance Recap next week and join us as we travel with Jen and her 18 bachelors to Melbourne, Australia. Remember, if it ain't ferocious, it ain't true love.